Hey guys, I'm Chef Joseph Yoon, edible insect ambassador at Brooklyn Bugs, and we're gonna show you how to eat all these bugs. It's really important to note that these aren't just bugs that might be found in your house or outdoors somewhere because of the risk of pathogens and contaminants. A lot of the edible insects that are available were reared on a farm and they're processed through either roasting, dehydration, or freeze drying, which makes them safe and ready for us to eat at home. Edible insects require far less resources than other livestock. They take less water, they require less feed, less land than it does to provide an equivalent amount of protein. They also produce a negligible amount of greenhouse gas emissions. They are an incredible solution to providing protein for the future. These are crickets, and they are widely eaten all over the world, in South America, Asia, Africa, and in North America. These crickets are so incredibly versatile. I love that we can eat them whole as roasted crickets, and that we could also blend it up and turn it into a powder. What I'm going to do is add it to a cheese sauce, add some of the whole crickets into the cheese sauce, and make some delicious cricket mac and cheese bites. But because I love crickets so much, we're gonna take it one more step, cook it up with some garlic and some peppers, and add that to the top of the cricket mac and cheese bites. These mac and cheese bites look absolutely delicious, and I can't wait to try one. Bon appetit! Crispy on the outside, super cheesy and delicious on the inside. The beautiful notes of cricket, umami, and nuttiness. This is perfect. These are black ants, and they are widely found all over the world and particularly enjoyed in South America and China. They have formic acid, which gives them this incredibly delicious, zingy, zesty, fermented type of flavor, and I just love the zestiness and sort of pop rock surprise that you can find with these black ants. Sometimes you want to integrate your foods and make it all complicated, but sometimes it's just great to be able to enjoy it simply by sprinkling these zesty, zingy black ants and pairing it with guacamole. The zesty citrusness of the black ants make this my favorite way to eat guacamole. This is a Manchurian scorpion commonly found in northern and eastern Asia. While it might look a little scary with the stinger and the venom, it's actually denatured during the brining and sun drying process. They're actually not insects, but they're arthropods, just like shrimp and crabs, and so they actually have that kind of flavor that's intensified in this small bite. What we're gonna do is marinate this in a gochujang sauce, which is a fermented red pepper paste, and it also has some rice wine vinegar, mirin, agave, and sesame oil. I'm gonna make some furikake rice balls with sushi rice and furikake to put these delicious scorpions on top. Bon appetit. The scorpion literally adds so much flavor. The saltiness, the brininess, the spiciness of the gochujang, the acidity from the sushi rice. Take this to the bank. These are bamboo worms, commonly eaten in Southeast Asia, and they're actually not worms, but they're larvae that turn into moths. They have a creamy texture and flavor to them from dwelling and eating off of the bamboo shoots. I'm gonna take these bamboo worms and soak them in a lapsang soshang tea. I love that these bamboo worms are more unctuous and creamy instead of nutty and crunchy. The way that smokiness acts as a foil to the creaminess of the bamboo worms, this is a perfect match. I could do this every day for lunch. June bugs. They have a lot of chitin, which means the outer exoskeleton, so they have a lot of crunch to them. They're reared on a farm in Southeast Asia, and boiled and then dehydrated. So they're not very meaty. You know, some people like to take off the wings or the legs of their insects. For me, I just love to eat it in its entirety. These June bugs will make a perfect addition to something like a corn fritter. So we're gonna take the corn batter and fry it up in a pan, and they will just come out crispy and delicious. I just love my cooking. This is so good. These are locusts and they are so delicious. They're in the same family in the Orthoptera as crickets and grasshoppers. And they are usually solitary insects, but when they get together and they start rubbing their legs against each other, they become gregarious, causing massive damage to crops. So what better way to work with these guys than to actually eat them ourselves? These locusts are farmed in Israel and are certified as kosher. And they have a weediness that lends really well to spices and sweetness. I'm gonna fry up these locusts with chili peppers, scallions, garlic, and a gochujang sauce, and then put it in a perilla wrap with rice. Just like that. This is so delicious. I just love how the sweetness and the spiciness work with the locusts. And these rice wraps are one of my favorites. Delicious. I have some palm weevils that are absolutely delicious. They're actually big beetles, but we just eat them in their larvae form, as you see right here. Because they live in palm trees, they have a very sweet and unctuous flavor, and they are absolutely delicious to work with. I'm gonna create a palm weevil stir fry by frying up some veggies, adding the palm weevils, and then a delicious chili sauce to the stir fry. The sweet unctuousness of the palm weevils, accented by the spiciness and the crunch of these veggies, this is just perfect. Here I have 2 tarantulas. Where's the other tarantula? This is a tarantula and I'm particularly excited to share it with you. It was from southwestern America. The venom is denatured during the cooking process, so it's no problem at all. They do have fangs up top here that you want to remove prior to eating. These are also arthropods, just like other shellfish. So if we're willing to eat all these sea bugs, why would we not consider eating these land bugs? In order to prepare these tarantula, what we're gonna do is take a propane torch to remove these urticating hairs, remove the fang, and then we're gonna put it in a delicious tempura batter, get it nice and crispy, and it will be delicious. One of the greatest joys I have in eating insects or arthropods are with these tempura fried tarantulas. This tarantula is virtually identical to eating a soft-shell crab. The outer layer is kind of like the outer layer of a soft-shell crab. The texture, the flavor, it's just really, really special. This is a Magicicada, or cicada. This cicada lived underground, feasting on plant and tree xylem for 17 years. So they're very vegetal in flavor. They have a little bit of nuttiness to them as well, and they really, truly are my favorite all-time insect to eat. I'm gonna make 2 dishes with the cicadas. One is a delicious stir fry with the adult cicadas. We're gonna saute up some veggies and add in some noodles and a delicious sauce with soy sauce, mirin, rice wine and vinegar, and sesame oil. And the second dish we're gonna make with the nymphs. Because these cicada nymphs are just like tiny shrimp and like the arthropods, they will work perfectly in a kimchi. We're gonna blanch them real briefly and then add it in as the shrimp component of our kimchi. This meal represents my heart and soul. Just add such a perfect bite of protein, a little nuttiness that you might expect from like adding peanut butter or peanuts to stir fry. 7 out of 5-star dish. This cicada nymph kimchi is so special. So meaty. The fermentation and the spice of the kimchi permeates into the cicada nymph, and this pairing is one for the ages. The mealworm, incredibly versatile and widely eaten because they are farmed and reared specifically for human consumption. They're actually not a worm, but the larva of a darkling beetle. They have a nutty flavor to them, particularly when roasted, and they pair perfectly with sweets, with your desserts, and also with savory food. I'm gonna make a chocolate Rice Krispie mealworm bark. I'm gonna start by melting down some chocolate, pouring it onto a sheet, adding the Rice Krispies, and finishing it with the mealworms. Time to eat some dessert. The crunch, the nuttiness, these mealworms are a great addition to this delightful sweet dessert. Termites. You think of them as these little teeny little guys, but they're actually bigger than you think and quite delicious. They don't taste like wood, but they do have this like woodsy, nutty sort of flavor to them. What I like to do with these termites is add this nutty, crunchy deliciousness into a termite burger. I'm gonna take some black beans and onions and mushrooms, panko, eggs, peppers, and create a delicious burger patty. Add these nice little nibbles of termites. I'll give it a nice body, added protein. The best burger you ever ate. The termites give it the perfection. The crunch, the added protein, and that hint of extra something coming soon to a supermarket near you. This is a silkworm pupa. They are the larva of the silk moth. This silkworm pupa has kind of a corn nutty sort of flavor. When it's dried out in the manner, it has a very crunchy, airy texture, kind of like a cheese puff or something. But the flavor tends to be more corn nutty. Because these bundegi or silkworm pupa are commonly eaten as street food in Korea, I'm gonna do a very similar application and fry these guys up with some salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and of course, gochugaru or Korean red pepper flakes. I can't wait to try one of these silkworm pupa. It's just so savory and delicious. Perfect snack. Vespula flaviceps, commonly known as Japanese wasps. They have a beautiful minerality and sweetness to the flavor, and besides being widely eaten in Japan, they're also eaten in other parts of Asia. And people are like, oh my god, what about the stinger? No, it's okay. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. If you're worried about the venom, it gets denatured during the cooking or dehydration process, so they're perfectly safe to eat. And so, I don't know, should I try one? Of course I should. These Vespula flaviceps are delicious prepared when marinated in soy sauce or pickled, but one of my all-time favorite ways to eat them is actually in a drink. So I'm gonna put these in a jar with the sake and just let it sit. I went with a junmai, which is just made with rice and rice koji. It has a full body, but it's very clean that lends itself perfectly to being infused with the sweetness and minerality of the Vespula flaviceps. Let's give it a try. Don't you love when you have a drink and you get to eat a snack automatically as well? Weaver ants, tree-dwelling ants commonly found in southeastern Asia and Australia. They live off of leaf and plant matter, so they have a slight vegetal quality, but really a funky nuttiness. I'm gonna add these weaver ants to a 6-minute egg. We're gonna boil an egg for 6 minutes, cut it in half, get the nice oozy yolk running, top it off with some delicious weaver ants, a little bit of salt, and it will be a delicious, extra protein-rich dish. Between the texture, the nuttiness, a little bit of the funkiness, this is a wonderful addition to your 6-minute egg. Manduca sexta, also known as a tobacco hornworm, something that you might be more familiar with near your tomato plants with the tomato hornworm. These are actually not worms, but caterpillars that eventually grow to become the tobacco hawk moth. Manduca sexta eat a lot of food, and so what I like to do is purge them, similar to how you think of deveining a shrimp. So we're gonna boil it very quickly to liquefy their innards, cut off the end, and squeeze out their innards and guts. And then I'm gonna fry these in olive oil, garlic, salt, and pepper to enjoy the simplicity of the pea-like flavor in the Manduca sexta. Roasting the Manduca sexta in garlic and olive oil just brings out the pea-like flavor perfectly. The Mopane worm, widely eaten in Africa. They are the larvae of the emperor moth. They're actually really quite colorful, and they are often fried and then smoked for preservation. I'm gonna make a marinara sauce with these Mopane worms and add it to a delicious margarita pizza. Because of the intense earthiness of these Mopane worms, I like to cook it with foods that can act as a little bit of a foil. The sweetness and acidity of the tomatoes will act perfectly with these Mopane worms. The marinara sauce is a perfect complement for the earthiness of these Mopane worms, and this pizza is just delightful. Black soldier fly larvae, commonly found all over the world, and they are the larvae form of the black soldier fly. These black soldier flies are incredible recycling machines that can turn organic waste into edible products for both animals and humans. The larvae have a very light, mild flavor. The texture is light and crispy, kind of like a Cheeto. And so it could be used in a variety of settings, really as a salad topping or cooked into a bar snack. Because these black soldier fly larvae are so light, airy, and crispy, I thought a great application would be to fry them up with some curry and make a curry black soldier fly larva snack. Let's give it a taste. Light, airy, crispy, kind of like a Cheeto with the intensity of the curry flavor. What a wonderful snack. The water bug, commonly eaten in a lot of parts of Southeast Asia. It has a very unique green appley taste when fresh, but when we get them here in America, they are regularly dehydrated, and it leaves all this chitinous material, their exoskeleton. While you can technically eat them, it's a bit rough for me. If we break open and peel the water bug, similar to a crab, we'll be able to get to the meaty flesh. I'm gonna scoop out the meaty part of the water bug and then add it to one of my all-time favorite dishes, the Korean bibimbap. We have a bunch of veggies on a bed of brown rice. We're gonna add an egg, sauces, mix it all up, and finish it off with the water bug. Bibimbap by definition is mixed rice. So what we wanna do is mix this all up together. We have the richness of the egg yolk mixed in. Now, let's give this a try. I just love bibimbap, and the water bug adds a delicious umami savoriness that's a perfect accompaniment to my favorite dish. The Gusano worm, commonly found in Central and South America in agave plants. They're not actually a worm, but a caterpillar that turns into a moth. There are only 2 or 3 of these Gusano worms found in each huge agave plant. Because of that, they're a real delicacy. Agave plants are also used to make mezcal, and sometimes you will find Gusano worms inside mezcal bottles. The agave plant is similar to a cactus, and so I thought it would pair perfectly with a dragon fruit, which is also indigenous of Central and South America. The Gusano worm is sun-dried after being harvested, and you can crush it up and mix it with spices to make a Gusano worm salt. We're gonna take the dragon fruit, sprinkle on the Gusano worm salt, and finish it off with these delectable Gusano worms. Let's give it a try. The sweetness and spiciness of the Gusano worm and Gusano worm salt elevate this dragon fruit from delicious to magical. I couldn't think of a better way to close this all out than making a cricket whiskey hopper. I infuse the crickets in this whiskey and something magical will happen. Similar to when you add egg whites to a drink, the whiskey infuses the protein in the crickets and will create a frothy white top on top of our whiskey hopper. Add a lot of whiskey, poricha or barley tea, which acts as a great balance, some yuzu, sweet vermouth. You do have to shake this vigorously to get the reaction that we want. Finish this off with some bitters and enjoy. There are literally thousands of edible insects, and obviously we couldn't show you how to eat every single one, but it's been a true joy to show the incredible versatility in flavor profiles, textures, and functionality of edible insects. From cheesy to citrusy to nutty, what an incredible wide range of flavors. I couldn't think of a better way to close out the day than to have a cricket whiskey hopper. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and cheers. Oh. Delicious.